Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Region Director, District Director training for the Illinois JCs. My name is Jason Reggie Detmer, and hopefully we give you a short and informative presentation here that you're going to get something out of. So I'm going to share my screen here. I've got a slideshow, and we'll get started with that. Should be this one. All right. Can you see my screen all right? All right.
Yep.
Fantastic. First of all, I'd like to thank Zach for the one organizing everything behind the scenes here. Appreciate it. I'm sure we're going to have an excellent slideshow. You're doing a great job. And for everybody else on our call tonight. So there we go. Like I said, this is going to be Region Director, District Director training, more focused towards Region Directors, but I think District Directors can get a lot out of it too, especially since District Directors will hopefully one day be Region Directors as well. So there's a few of us on this call. We're going to start with some introductions, and I'll start off, and if anybody else would like to go, you're more than welcome to. Like I said, my name is Jason Detmer. Most people know me as Reggie. My current chapter is Highland, which is in Region 5, the southern part of the state. I am an advisor for the state this year. I have been a JC since 2005, so that puts me here for a long time, about 16 years. Fun fact about me, if anybody wants to give one, they can. Unfortunately, my life is pretty boring. I don't know there's much interesting. And if anybody like to join in, you can kind of let me know what you want to cover, anything specific, and we'll make sure to hit it. Well, I guess one fun fact about me is Highland's not my first chapter. I actually started as Breeze, and Breeze unfortunately folded, and I transferred to Highland. So I have been a member of 2 different chapters. So I guess that's maybe something not everybody knows about me. Would anybody else on this call like to add anything to kind of introduce yourself, and or you just kind of want to stay in the background and we continue on?
I'll go real quick just because I'm not going to stay for the whole call, but just wanted to, so Eric Hyatt, state president, just wanted to just let everyone know if anyone needs anything in their role, just to feel free to reach out to me or the state team. We would definitely want to help. Even if it's just, if the chapter is struggling, or if you want to praise a member that's like really doing a great job, we want to hear about it. So just don't be a stranger. We'll be reaching out, but don't be afraid to reach out as well. So you're in good hands with Reggie, but just wanted to pop in for a second, and thanks Zach for coordinating the training, and Reggie for giving it. So thanks.
All right. Thank you, President Eric. Appreciate you coming in and saying a few words.
I'll go. I'm Lana. I am from Champaign-Urbana JCs, part of the Central Region, and I am the current Central Region Director. I believe I'm in my 4th year. Eric might be able to help me do my math a little bit better, but one of the things that I want to definitely kind of learn is how best can I, as a region director, assist my chapter presidents. Like, what is the biggest and best thing that I can do to help them?
Excellent. And I think we're going to cover some of that in here, and I'll make sure to emphasize it as we go along. All right. By the way, I don't know, I'm kind of showing my age here with the CSI reference on here with the whole "Who Are You?" if you know the theme song for CSI. So when I had this slide proofed, the person that proofed is like, do you think anybody younger than you is going to get the reference? So I'm not sure if anybody did or not, but yeah, the "Who Are You?"
I did.
You did? Great. So I didn't put that in there for nothing. I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to start off. We're going to go over board reports. I believe you guys have had one in-person board meeting now. So you kind of got an idea. President Eric typically gives out kind of a guideline of what he wants in there. So we're kind of going to go over that a little bit more specific, so that what you need to be in there and how you need to do it. So board reports. What needs to be in a board report? Well, it's kind of a summary of what you've done typically since your last meeting. So where have you been? What chapters have you visited? What meetings have you attended? What projects have you done? If you've gone to state and region and national events, be sure to include that in there as well. Put in there a calendar of events that are coming up. That way everybody knows what's going to happen. They can kind of plan accordingly. And when you're out and about and you visit your members, your chapters, and you meet members, make sure to kind of pay attention to the ones that really stand out. Preferably the ones that stand out in a good way. That's what we're hoping for. But yeah, the kind of the up and comers, the ones that not everybody knows yet, that may be under the radar, that have potential, to move up in the organization, to do great things. That way they can be recognized. Like Eric mentioned earlier in his presentation, when he spoke, that, bring that to his attention so he can recognize them as well. And like I said, we know who to kind of keep our eye on and promote through the organization, kind of foster anybody that, wants to move forward. Also, when you give your presentations, make sure that when you talk about the events coming up, what events do you think, knowing your chapters, knowing your regions better than probably the rest of the exec team will, what would be a good project for them to attend? Where would they be either most needed? What would be probably one of the more signature projects that they could attend? Because a lot of times their time is limited. They try to hit as many projects as they can in a weekend, and that way it can kind of help them filter through. If you know it's going to be a project, if you know it's a project they're going to need help at, that you feel that the exec team could provide assistance for, make sure to mention that. And also, when you visit your chapters, if there's any problems with the chapters, if you know they're low on manpower, if you know they're low on membership, if you know there's internal drama in the chapters, bring that to the exec board's attention as well. That way, if possible, they can try to help out there, maybe correct something before it's a bigger problem than it is. Knowing what's going on is kind of the first thing that has to happen before anything else can, go beyond that point. If you don't know it's an issue, if you don't know what's going on, it's hard to do anything about it. So that's kind of your job as region directors and district directors, is to keep feel kind of on the pulse of your region and on your chapters, know what's going on, try to find the little nuances and bring that to the attention of the exec board, because it's a big state. It's hard to know everything that's going on all the time. So you're the kind of in between, the direct in between the chapters and the president and the vice presidents. And it is a big help, having the board reports and having accurate board reports. So that way, what's going on. I was also a VP for the state in 2018. So I was region director in 2016. So I've been on both sides of it. Now, next up, when you present your board reports, which a lot of them are virtual now on Zoom, and we've all been in meetings, at least 2 meetings now for the state, and I'm sure we've been in meetings throughout our JC career. So when you present them, make sure that all your information is included, make sure it's neat and concise, that you put it in a way that's easily understood. It doesn't have to be lengthy, it doesn't have to include every little detail, but just make sure you hit the high points. Also, when you're presenting at the meeting, make sure that you hit the important parts, convey the parts that are hard to express and type. Sometimes the way you say something is just as important as how you say it. And sometimes text, meaning can be lost in text without the expression there behind it. And also the third point here, I've got, don't read reports verbatim. If you're in an exec board meeting, I'm pretty certain you can read. There's really not much point in you reading the report verbatim. Everybody there can do it. So for an example, when you say, I visited 7 chapters since the last board meeting, that's sufficient. You don't have to list all 7 chapters. They can read the 7 chapters that you've got listed on your board report, and that's fine. Now, what you would do is, like I said, emphasize the things that are important. Say, I visited 7 chapters, and one of those chapters had the most outstanding ID project I've seen. It was incredible. The members were engaged. They enjoyed it. It was informative. And I think this is something that we could probably try to promote throughout the state to other chapters. That's the kind of things that you want to emphasize in your board report. So kind of keep that in mind. Also, these board reports, they can go on for a while, especially if you read everything there. Nobody likes to be in 3-hour meetings. We've all sat through them and like, is this ever going to be over? This is kind of like the Twitter, TikTok generation sort of thing mindset anymore. You kind of lose people after a while. So just remember, keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it to the point, and go on. If people have questions, they can ask afterwards, or they can read the full report. So before we move on, does anybody have any questions before we go to the next slide? Or
Doing
all right.
good. Doing good.
All right, thank you. Now, one of the big things you're going to do as region director is you're going to go out and visit your chapters, visit your fellow JCs. When you just go to either chapter meetings or projects, usually it's polite to let them know that you're going to be there, especially if it's a meeting. A lot of times as region director, I would contact the president and tell them, hey, first make sure they're still having a meeting and that the location is accurate. I have driven out to where there's supposed to be meetings and nobody was there. So that's a little unfortunate. So yeah, it's kind of nice to verify that it's going to be there. And a lot of times they'll put you on the agenda and make sure that you're introduced as a region director, and that is kind of an official visit that way. When you're there, do make sure you have something to say. You don't have to make it long and drag out. Just a lot of times say, introduce yourself, obviously, and be like, we've got the region meeting coming up on this date. We've got the state meeting coming up on this date. It'd be fantastic if you guys could attend. Registrations are out. If you have any questions, contact me, at least something of that nature, so they kind of acknowledge, they realize what's going on, because word doesn't always get out. So it is nice to kind of keep them informed. If there's other chapters running big projects that you think they could benefit from, let them know, hey, your neighbors to the west, they're going to run this festival. You guys would be, if you'd like to support your neighboring chapter, please do so. Things like that. Make sure that your first impression when you first go out and meet your chapters, whether it be at a meeting, especially at meetings and in projects, that it's a very pleasant first impression. I've seen too many times where the first interaction a new president might have with either region or state is, hey, it's the end of the month, your membership dues are up, we're going to need a check. Probably not the best first impression you can make. Before we get to that point, try to contact your chapters and make sure that you do a proper introduction and it's a pleasant, not, please give us money. With some people, that's kind of a put off, and I've had chapters take it where, well, the only thing the state wants is money. They're not after anything else. So we kind of want to avoid that kind of feeling between regions and states and chapters if we can avoid it. Obviously, at this point, we know that's not the case, but you can understand chapters that don't have much interaction where they could feel that way. If you do visit at projects, be respectful. We've all been at big projects before. We know what it can be like. You're trying to run like either a beer stand or a food stand, or you've got entertainment going. You might be trying to run a membership booth. You've got people, things not going right. People didn't show up. You're understaffed, and don't be in their way. That's not probably the best time to be, hey, while I got you here, we need to talk about your membership numbers, or we need to talk about, something else that doesn't pertain to the project. If you're there, try to be helpful. That's the best thing you can do. Be like, hey, it looks like you're busy. You don't want me to run, the ticket booth for a little bit, or, hey, I'm region staff. If you need somebody to man a membership booth, I'd be great for that job. Try to assist. Don't try to be a hindrance when you're there. Also, when you're out and about talking to your members, be sure to encourage chapters and members to participate in region and state things, that we are here for them, that we do offer, more than just somewhere for them to send their membership dues. Try to let them know that their chapter plans are out there, that they can, kind of help them grow. They can sort of set the pace for the year, give them something to focus on. It also helps with point systems in the state for POC points and recognition there as well, if it's something they're interested in. Even if not, it is kind of nice to kind of have an idea of, the year in advance. These are the projects we're going to run. This is the kind of money that we think we're going to spend. This is money we're hoping to take in, and just kind of give the chapter a focus. I said, let them know what POC points are available. If they would decide to try with a POC game and, compete in that, as well as Passport to Civic Leadership, the degrees of JCs. if they're not familiar, kind of explain to them what it is, how to proceed up, through there and, what it all involves. Like I said earlier, let them know about the region and state meetings coming up, invite them to attend. You'll let them know if they're doing a great project that, hey, we'd really enjoy seeing some PMGs on this. You could win some awards. It also helps out if another chapter wants to run a similar project. We've got all the paperwork. It helps out if, they've got a turnover in membership and they want to run the same project again, that they've got records of the previous years that they've run this project. And also ask them if they could submit individual awards for their members. I know sometimes it is tough, being on the state team before, we don't always get a lot of individual awards sent in from chapter presidents. And so kind of remind them that, hey, if you've got members doing something, please let us know about it so they can be recognized. Also, when you're out, remember, you're representing the JCs. So always be positive. This organization, like anywhere, we know there's flaws. We know there's some people that we, may not share the same personality traits, I guess you could say, but you can't go around being like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I've got a good example coming up in the slide here pretty soon. And, you can't be like, oh man, I wish we wouldn't do this. This is terrible. It sucks. And you're like, you can't be, negative. You have to be like, more of like, I realize that, there's room for improvement here. We're trying, we're going to make the system better. Please be patient, and work with us here. And, we're trying to do what we can for you. So just keep positive, being negative is usually a downer for everybody. It kind of drives people away. Be friendly when you meet people, be welcoming, especially look for the newer members that may be a little bit shyer. It can mean a lot, being a rookie member myself. There's a good possibility that I wouldn't be here hadn't been for the region director calling me about a week after the first meeting and be like, hey, we're up here at the park working the concession stand. You want to come up here and join us? And I'm like, I've been a member for a week. The region director is calling me out of another chapter. I don't think I've ever even met her, but hey, it's 10 minutes from my house. I guess I'll go up there and check it out. And that's probably a strong possibility of why I'm still here 15 plus years later, is because the region director did reach out to me and invite me to help her work the concession stand. And like I said earlier, when you're out, be helpful. You're kind of there to, so I would say not really oversee, but kind of get a feel for what's going on, so you can put it in your report so you know what your regions are doing. But since you're there, try to be helpful. Chapters do appreciate that. Other members do see it. And it means a lot more if you're there actually participating and helping than just kind of standing in the corner being like, yep, I'm your region director. I'm here. Thanks a lot, guys. And, that's about it. So anybody else have anything else before we move on, or should we continue? All right. Throughout your year, this is a big one. It worked out really great that I did it. If anybody remembers my year as region director, I had 2 3-ring binders. I kept notes and records of everything. When you go to these meetings, try to get agendas and treasurer's reports, flyers, handouts, printouts, business cards, anything you can at these meetings. And, that way you've got something to reference to. That way, when you write up your board reports, when you go to another chapter and you ask questions, you can say, oh yeah, they do have this project coming up. Let me look. Oh, it's, right here in their agenda that they're going to do it on the 22nd of next month. It'll help out because I suffer from CRS, which stands for can't remember stuff. So if I don't have notes or write it down, I'm going to forget it. So it's just nice having that visual reference to go back on. Like I said, not only do you try to get, some of these things when you're there, make sure that you write down where you went, when you went there, who you talked with, like who stood out, and what you did while you were there, what they did, things of that nature. This was invaluable at the end of the year when I did my, they call it the book for award submissions to nationals for region directors, because they ask a lot of questions like this, and I could just go back through my calendar because I had a spiral agenda calendar. I wrote down every meeting, every project I went to, and had it all in type, and so it had all the agendas there. And it does, even with your monthly board reports, it's very valuable to have all that information quickly at hand. Now, a little tip that I did, if they had it available, I'd always take 2 agendas because, like I said, I kept them in a 3-ring binder. The one I could keep pristine, I didn't write on it. The other one I would write notes. And then after the meeting, I would slide the one I had notes in underneath the first one, because the notes weren't always something that I would want public. I could write things on there like, meeting started late, meeting was a little bit disorganized. This particular member seems to be a little toxic. They weren't very friendly. I could write things on there like, this person is a president, but I feel that this person is probably the one running the chapter. And that way I had something to refer to. But when I would go to another meeting and people would ask, well, what are they doing? I could show them the pristine agenda that wasn't written on, and then, don't keep the one with all my notes on there that, I really didn't want public, that were more for me and, trying to keep things straight. So like I said, that's just something I did, may come in helpful to you. I know I'm still old school. I do a lot of hard copies yet. Things have gone digital, which I understand. It is definitely an advantage. And, I'm going that way as, more and more, but just kind of keep it in mind that, keep good notes, but then remember what other people see too. And everyone's favorite here, membership. I'm sure we've all had some sort of dealing with Glue Up. I used to have a whole presentation on how to, put in new members, how to renew members, how members dropped, the timing for everything. And I know that's all changed now with Glue Up. I spoke with Eric the other day about it, and I know the state is still doing kind of their own internal thing with membership. So talk with Sarah, your membership VP, find out exactly how she wants to do it if she hasn't conveyed it to you as well. I know they've got their own form internally. So, that's definitely something that's going to change as the year goes on, is how we're going to do membership. But the one tip I do have with membership is keep records. Because I've gone through 2 database changes in my time as JC, and both times was a disaster. We lost the entire database, all of our renews, all of our drops, all of our new members disappeared, and we had to basically go through and do membership for that quarter all over again from the start. And it was a nightmare. Fortunately, I did keep all hard records at the time, so it was just an inconvenience for me to have to go through and put everything back into the new database. Not everybody kept hard records. They relied on the website to keep track of everything for them. And the website is not always reliable. You don't necessarily have to keep like paper records. You can keep it in a spreadsheet in your computer, but keep it somewhere, off of the cloud that's, not in the national database. It could prevent a lot of problems in the future. The other nice thing about having it saved either to your computer on a hard copy, when you do go to chapters, internet connections aren't always the best, or if they exist at all. And that way you've got something you can quickly reference at the end of the meeting or during their membership time at the meetings to be like, okay, here's who you have due for the quarter, for the month now, I believe we're going to, and you can quickly run through it and then make notes, and you can always enter it into the online database later. So like I said, just one of the tips that I would watch out for. Hopefully this transition is going to go a little bit smoother, but experience has taught me that's not always the case. So that kind of does it for the slideshow. I know we wanted to do kind of a roundtable discussion. If anybody's got questions, anything like that, before we continue. Nothing, you guys are awfully quiet here.
I totally agree with you with the paper thing. It has been so helpful to just have the paper on hand.
Yeah, it is. To me, it's just so much faster at meetings, when I had the membership printed off ahead of time, and instead of having to log into, at the time it was jcmember.com, wait for it to load, type in my credentials, bring up their chapter, you could be looking at a slow internet connection, 2-3 minutes, which doesn't sound a whole lot. But when the president or their membership VP standing there and they want to go home or they want to go do something, go to the bar or go get something to eat, you could lose their interest in that time. And they'd be like, well, we'll do it later. And we all know goes later doesn't always come. So if you could just pull out a hard copy, have it printed and just check mark the people that are renewing, put X's by the people that aren't, and you can always do it later. And it just seems to be a lot quicker. Like I said, I had everything in a binder. I had the little tabs that stuck out with all the chapter names on it. So I could just flip right to that chapter. And then the top of the cover sheet was their chapter roster. And then the next page was meetings, times, their boards, so their presidents, vice presidents, things like that. And then I would keep all the agendas and flyers and everything after that. Anything else that was pertinent to the chapter. So yeah, hard copies, your own records are definitely nice to have. So it's kind of reiterate a couple big points. Like I said, when you're out, make sure that you're representing the JCs in a professional manner and that you're not a burden to the chapters. Being a chapter member, obviously, as well as a region director, it was very annoying when state staff, national staff, somebody would show up to a project and then they would want to pull you to the side and discuss something or just kind of stand around and, mingle and be in the way and talk, which I understand, a lot of them had friends there that they don't get to see in person very often, but you're running a project, you don't really have time to discuss membership things, especially because that'll annoy them, when you come up and be like, hey, we really need to get these membership, details figured out. We're going to need a check. And they're like, not now. I don't have time. I found through experience the best time to talk to people about things like that is at meetings, because usually you're not as busy. They last on average 45 minutes. And then to take another 10, 15 minutes after the meeting and go over things. It's convenient. You're already there. You're already in a JC mood. And it just seems like it runs a lot smoother. Also, I noticed that projects, everybody's busy. Everybody's got their own thing that they do. And it's kind of hard to differentiate between people. At meetings, you can really tell who the movers and shakers are. The people that are in charge, the people that come up with the ideas, the people that are probably going to go, through the organization, advance through the organization. And because when you get to projects, there's always somebody that's willing to work a beer stand. There's always, somebody that's willing to do kind of their niche thing. They might be a huge softball fan, and of course, they're going to do a great job running a softball tournament as a chairman. But then outside of that, they have no interest in the JCs. So I would pick up on who the most active JCs were at meetings more so than I did at events a lot of times. So like I said, just my personal experiences being region director, meetings are more informative to me than projects. And I know a lot of people like to attend projects, which it is important to attend projects. It is useful to see what's going on, especially when you're doing award submissions and things like that, because you have firsthand experience of what happened.
What would be your biggest advice? Because we all know that we have some presidents who are like super duper responsive and will respond to you immediately, and then others that you send them like 6 emails and you get crickets.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so
yeah.
What would be your best advice on that?
Like I said earlier, the first thing I would try to do is, if you still can, is to make your first introduction pleasant. Like I said, don't be badgering about something. Be cordial, just basic an introduction. If you can, if you're to that point where it's still possible, be like, hey, I'm your region director. I look forward to working with you this year. I'm here if you need me. And they're more responsive. It seems to me that way than if your first introduction was, we need to know this information. Hey, we still need your paperwork on who your board is. We still need to know, who's renewing, come to this meeting. We need you at the state meeting. We need you at the regional meeting. You don't want to start off by telling them you need to do this, because I've noticed that to be a turnoff to some state or some chapter presidents. If that doesn't work because some chapter presidents are just not responsive, The next thing I would do is try to go back through the roster to either previous presidents or vice presidents and try to find somebody who is responsive. Ideally, you want to talk to the president, but a lot of times I should say a lot of times, sometimes that just isn't practical. Presidents do get put in place sometimes because bylaws state that somebody else isn't eligible or you can't be president twice. So they're a place filler. It may sound kind of cold, but it is a reality of things that not everybody who is president is maybe capable of being president or the best person possible. But hopefully somewhere behind the scenes, there is another member somewhere that is responsive, that is running it. I'm sure we all know of chapters somewhere that there's a lot of times a senator or a rooster or a past president that's probably doing more behind the scenes than the actual president themselves. So if you can locate who that person is, a lot of times I would find them by talking to previous region directors, previous state presidents, be like, okay, 3 years ago when you're in this position, who did you contact to, talk to this chapter? And then see if you can work that way, because that has worked for me before. When I was region director, I believe Region 5 had 17 chapters. A lot of them were in the southern part of the state, the old Mississippi Valley. They didn't have a region director for 10 years. So there really was no structure down there at all. So I had to go back quite a ways in order to find some people, a lot of times just chapter contacts at all. There just was no records or any interaction for years before. So I would say in that situation, would probably be your best bet is to, if you can't get a hold of the president, find the next best thing. And then maybe you can work with them through them to get to the president. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
I had a question.
Yes.
First of all, I apologize for being late, but my question really focuses on, I know we have regions that have quite a few chapters in them, especially now that we're down to 3 regions. What have you guys found as your best platform to share information as far as chapter events to make sure not only your region members are getting to those, but that you're encouraging other chapters to visit other chapters as well?
Sounds like we had crickets out there, Rebecca. I know that for a long time it's been Facebook, but that seems to be kind of going away of MySpace. So to show my age once again, yes, I did have a MySpace account. I am that old. I said this is kind of a roundtable discussion because this is something that comes up a lot. How do we reach people? I don't know if there's a way to experiment with other platforms. I know Instagram was big. I don't know if I don't think it's quite as big as it was. TikTok seems to be the thing right now. I don't know if there's a way we could promote events and meetings and information on TikTok, especially with the way things go. They're usually very short videos. It's amazing that people will get bored watching a 20-minute video, but they can watch 8-second videos for 2 hours. I don't get how that works, but it just seems to be the way of things now. They're like, I sat down to watching, a 30-second TikTok, and here it is 3 hours later, and I'm still watching TikToks. So if that's maybe an avenue we could explore in the future, is try to get it out through there, because the social media platforms do seem to constantly evolve, change. It's always the newest fad. And yeah, MySpace is kind of gone. Facebook is now, which when I first learned this, I was like, what do you mean old people? I still use it. And like, yeah, Facebook is kind of the old people thing. So.
Yeah, and I really feel like this year it's really kind of getting pushed to the side. We used it for a long time to promote events and stuff, but I kind of feel like we're at the point in 2022 that it's not the go-to platform anymore.
No, I used to use it more so than I do. Facebook seems to be overwhelmed with advertisements. Every other post is an advertisement for something, it seems like, and the people that do posting, it's usually not something critical or important or that I care about. It's an inspirational quote or inspirational picture, or, I copy this because if you don't recopy and paste this, Facebook can use your pictures because they're a public platform, and it's something ridiculous like that. It's just total nonsense that comes through there. It's not, hey, join me because I'm going to, out to dinner Saturday night at this restaurant. If anybody wants to join, let me know. The days of actually sitting down and typing out a true message on Facebook seem to be gone. I used to hate it when people put pictures of their dinner up, but at least it was something real life now. That, you took a picture of your plate. So yeah, I would say that, kind of keep up the sort of the demographic that you want to find too. What event are you doing? Who are you hoping to get there? And kind of judge your platform on that. I know there are ways to mass broadcast at the platforms as well. I've often thought with maybe if that's something that the state could look into, is actually having like a PM position for a media director, somebody that's really up on it. I know we have had trainings on it before at state conventions, but if that could be a position, that would be a great position, I think, for a younger member who enjoys doing TikToks, because I have no desire to make TikTok videos. I don't really have that much desire to make YouTube videos or post Instagram pictures, but some people, that is their thing. And maybe we could try to encourage those type of people. Like, that would be a great way, I feel, to engage a younger member to say, hey, how would you like to do this? And not only could you post stuff on TikTok, but we'll give you a, small budget to do it with, to promote, or, if you need some sort of effects or, cameras, microphones, something, we're not going to go, all out on it, but, if we have to throw a few dollars at it, and they'd be like, yeah, that'd be great. Instead of using my, 3-year-old cell phone to try to do it, if I could do it with something better, or, actually put money towards the advertisement side of things, it might be something they're interested in, especially if they're looking to get into advertisement or, PR or something as a career out of college or something. So just kind of a thought, because that does come up quite a bit.
That sounds like a great development opportunity too. And I think we could even offer that at the region level. Maybe
Yeah.
not as much money involved in the budget, but it's
No, I think at the region level, it'd be hard to find a budget for it. Like I said, it was a thought that I've kicked around before. It was just always hard to implement because it's hard to fill positions. But if you could find somebody for like a state level and say, you're going to be, if you want to, you could be the PM for, social media. And then, they could go to projects and take pictures and post it on the different platforms and edit it to, be TikTok videos or YouTube videos or, Instagram pictures, and, do the filters and things like that. So, if they, that would be, I think, a good position for like a PM or something. Or you said if somebody in a region wanted to create something like that. And I think like maybe on a national organization there, you probably could do a real budget, buy real cameras and, real editing equipment, editing software possibly. So when I was more, I wouldn't say more active, but more of an of-age member, this wasn't such a thing. So, there was really never a call for it. Facebook was sufficient at the time, but now as the times are changing, I think that that sort of position could be useful. There we go. Bring myself back up here. It helps. I got dual monitor, so I'm watching one and here, the other one I'm using. So I'm trying to focus on the right monitor here. Also, when you're out, not only promote your region, but make sure that people you talk to are aware that there is a state staff and a national staff, and that they are, tell them, if they want to speak with Eric, don't be intimidated. Eric's very outgoing. He's dedicated to the organization as well as the rest of the state staff and the region staff as well. That I know that was kind of when I was a young rookie member, when the state president would show up to a project. At the time, New Baden did a chicken and beer dance for Mardi Gras, and it was tradition. The state presidents came down, and here I am, a member for a few months, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go talk to them, because they walked in at the time with their whole entourage. They all had the matching shirts on and everything, and they had their vice presidents along and their PAs along, and so there was a group of like 9 of them all come in, and I'm like, yep, that is intimidating. That is not for me. But yeah, just let them know that, state staff and region staff is approachable. they are there for them. And they said, try to focus on the new members. I don't know if Rebecca was on at the time, but I mentioned earlier that the fact that the region director at the time, when I first joined, about a week after I joined, invited me to work the concession stand with them is probably a good reason why I'm here today. If I had been ignored at that meeting, I may not have stuck around. And I know that's something that even myself, I need to work on a lot of times. Everybody's guilty of it. We go to projects, we go to meetings, we talk to the people we've been friends with for years. And it's not that we're necessarily shunning the new members, but I don't always know that we go out of our way enough to introduce ourselves and welcome them. I don't think it's anything intentional. I just think you're around the people and that's kind of who you generally tend to interact with more. So maybe make a conscious effort of, welcoming the new members is, like I said, to be acknowledged by someone in the region or the state staff, could be a lot to a new member. I know, I got Rookie of the Month as a new member, and I'm like, wow, I got an award and I've been here for 3 months, and it's like, this is kind of neat, but now after 15 years, it's like, yep, another block of wood, it's just, when you're a new member, it means a whole lot more than it does after years of being in. I think sometimes we forget that. And another thing to kind of keep in mind, I don't think anybody on this chat, the state staff and region staff, I don't see anybody here being a problem. If you do notice this out and about, kind of remind people that even if you do have differences of opinions with people, that you should be respectful. And even if you cannot stand the person, please be respectful of the position in the office, even if you don't like the person. We don't want to get politics involved in a lot of things we do. We try to kind of stay separate from that. But you do have a difference of opinions, and just keep in mind that, this is a respectful organization and you should respect the office, respect the position, even if you don't much care for the person. And just kind of remind people of that, we do keep things professional here.
So Central Region, I hear you guys have a social coming up. Would you like to share with us?
If I can figure out how to work my mic.
Can be difficult.
Yeah, we are doing our St. Patrick's Day parade down in Springfield. And we did it in 2019. It was really a lot of fun and super exciting. So that is on March 12th. And Emily is getting all the details out to everyone, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Springfield completely goes all out for St. Patrick's Day, and everyone has a ton of fun. And so it's really, really cool. So I really encourage you guys to come up or down or whichever way you are to come and see us and come walk with us.
Anybody else got anything coming up?
I know down here in Region 5, we're planning for Swizer Fest on the second weekend of June, and you guys are more than welcome to come. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday festival, so we'd love to have you guys come down. I know Reggie will be there, right?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Also, if anybody wasn't aware, the national president will be down in this area. They're going to Alhambra's pickle races and St. Louis parade with St. Louis JCs. So she'll be around for the weekend. If anybody would like to come down and meet Margot, if you're not familiar, is the state president. I think Brent was going to come with her, but that may change. So. Kind of reading over my notes here, making sure there's nothing else I wanted to go over.
I would like to say the part of the slideshow I did see, I really appreciated that. I could see you put a lot into that. It was very nice.
I try to do, so this is my first slideshow that I can recall that I've actually had to create. So I've sort of edited some before and presented them before that were already made, but this is the first one that I've actually had to sit down and create. So I kind of transferred some of my notes and handouts and things I had from previous trainings into this. So I don't think it's the best job in the world, but hopefully it served its purpose.
It definitely did.
And hopefully you guys found it helpful and informative. And I know a lot of the people on this call are, that are going to be watching this have been JC members for a while and, active, and probably already have a lot of it's known, but, just in case it's not, it's, helpful to hear it again, or at least reinforcement to know that, hey, that's the way I've been doing it. And hopefully I'm doing it the right way then. Because it's things that I, wish I would have known going into being region director, so one thing is, if you guys get a chance when you do, I believe they call it the book, which I said is the award submission for nationals. Try to take a look at that now. That way you know what to prepare for, and then keep your notes and kind of fill it out as the year goes on, instead of trying to fill it all out the week before it's due. And then you'd be like, what did I do last January? You'd be like, I have no clue. And then you're flipping through old agendas and flipping through your old calendar and trying to remember what's going on, and going through old text messages and be like, okay, that's right, I went here. It's just to prepare yourself for what you're going to do. If that's something you're interested in, is, submitting for the national award for region director, district director. Also, if you are a district director and your region director can't make it to meetings, please try to fill in for them. If they can write the report, that'd be great. If not, anybody that's in the region that has, more knowledge to what's going on than the rest of the exec team would be helpful. Having somebody there is definitely better than having nobody there. And district directors, those of you watching this, try to spread yourself out from the region director. If you both want to go to the same project, same meeting, if you feel it's necessary, that's great. If you guys can make different meetings, kind of combine your notes to make sure that that's, in the board report, you could list that separately. So they'd be like, I went to these meetings, my district director went to these meetings, here's what he had to say about them. You could include that in there as well. But kind of, communicate between yourselves, and then, your chapters, make sure as a district director that, you can, since I know in Region 5 where they have 2 of them, that you can kind of be more one-on-one with your chapters than the region director can. Just like, region directors can be more one-on-one than what state vice presidents and the president can be, because you can only spread yourself so thin. So try to utilize your district directors and your other VPs if possible, and you get their feedback and send it to the report. And if you can't make it to your meeting, please let your district director know, so they can kind of prepare for themselves to be on the meeting. And that way, even if you don't have much to say as a district director, if you don't have a report, at least you're up to speed on what the rest of the state's doing. So you can relay that back to your region director and back to your chapters. So that does go both ways. You need to inform the exec board of what's going on, and then you can find out from the exec board what they're doing. Especially with this whole membership thing coming up, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of back and forth on how this is going to work in the future. Rebecca, you're probably glad you're not membership VP this year with Glue Up coming in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I do know, though, if anybody's turning in membership, there's a link on the Illinois JC's website if anybody needs that. That's how I'm doing it this quarter. So
like I said, I know that there is a JOT form I believe they're using now, if I'm correct. I've, obviously that wasn't going on when I was membership VP. So we were doing a little bit different system. So I don't want to speak a lot to it and tell you wrong. I said, if you do have any questions, ask Sarah about it, I'm sure, or Eric, either which, and I'm sure they can do a lot better job than I could have explaining the current system. Like I said, when I gave these presentations when I was membership vice president, it was a whole lot easier, or as a region director, because I was actively doing it then. So, and as I mentioned earlier, when you're talking to people, talking to chapter members, and be positive, that was the example that I was alluding to when they talk about Glue Up. I know on the VP, the national VP and the state levels, Glue Up is not particularly liked, and your members aren't going to like it. but that's probably not the time where you want to just lay into how incompetent the national team is and how stupid this system is. And it's the dumbest thing we could ever do. And I can't believe we did it. Probably not the kind of tone you want to give to members. That's when you want to be the more positive way. You can still say it sucks, but be positive. You'll say it sucks in a positive way. Be like, yeah, we're trying something new. We're hoping it works out. We're still evolving. Hopefully once we get it worked out, it's going to be great. If not, we're going to deal with it best we can. We're here for you. That's kind of the difference between saying it sucks in a negative way and it sucks in a positive way. So like I said, if you just kind of set the mood in a negative tone like that, it doesn't always go well. It kind of discourages people from participating, and nobody likes a negative Nancy. That's why when the people that know me well on here, they ask how your day going, I'm like, oh, it's going exceptional. It could be the worst day I'm ever having, but nobody wants to say, here, oh, how's your day going? Oh, it's so terrible. You wouldn't believe it. I don't even know why I got out of bed this morning. Oh, it sucks. It's like, okay, I don't want to talk to you. It's definitely found over the years, because I used to be that person when people ask me, well, how's your day going? I'm like, terrible. Oh God, I can't believe how bad. Because like people are like, yep, I've had enough of this conversation. But when you come out of positive, you definitely seem to get more positive feedback from it, especially in, as a leadership position in the region, that people will be more willing to talk to you if they don't feel it's so negative. In the same way as, when you get into, I guess mentioned earlier, you have difference of opinions with other people. If you're talking about, yeah, this, individual higher up in the JCs, whether it be region, state, national, they're just doing such a terrible job. I can't believe they're in that position. You don't want to say that, because then that person's gonna be like, well, what do you say about me when I'm not around? That's when you try to, maintain a positive attitude and be like, they're doing the best they can. They're trying, it may not be the way that, we'd like to see it done, but, they're giving it an honest effort, and they're doing what they feel is best for the organization. Even though we may not see it, or it may not work that way here, you definitely want to try to be positive about it. Don't run people down. It's just not a good image.
The line we use in Palatine is we're a learning organization.
Yeah. And I guess kind of another thing, kind of a tip I could give, as you're out and about, remember all of your chapters. I know it's easy to go to the chapters that are established that everybody knows. You just mentioned Palatine. The Central Region, you guys have Springfield. We have Highland and Debating down here. They run big projects. They're well-established chapters. They're probably going to be fine on their own. They've been doing this long enough. They've got enough membership. They've got people that have been in, positions before that they can handle it. You don't necessarily need to focus on those chapters. A lot of times we want to focus on the strong chapters. We want to focus on the chapters that turn in paperwork. We want to have the chapters that have leaders, upwards in the organization. Those are probably not the ones that need your help. You need to go to the chapters that are struggling, the chapters that don't participate in region events and state events, chapters we don't hear much from. They're the ones that are going to need the encouragement. They're the ones that are going to be, the ones that like, hey, I am welcome within the organization. Because as region director, that is some of the conversations that I had with my chapters. When I reached out to them, they're like, well, all the state wants is our membership dues. I don't know what else they do for us. I don't even know why we pay membership dues. That's not the attitude you want your chapters to have. It's not the truth, but from their perspective, it's their truth. They don't see region directors. They don't see state staff. They don't run big projects. They don't have, members that move up to the ranks. So they don't really get the recognition or the attention that some of the other chapters do. So, kind of keep an eye out for those chapters that do only run 1 or 2 projects a year, that do only hold meetings every other month, that might only have 3 or 4 members that attend a meeting. You go to there and try to foster those chapters. Those are the ones that need our support the most, not the Palatines, not the Springfields, not the Highlands. Not that those chapters aren't important, they're critically important for the region, but they're not the ones that require the attention as much. All right, we've been here for about an hour now, and you guys are probably tired of listening to me talk. Rebecca, do you know they still do the hard copy of the membership applications?
Are you talking about like the accordion one?
Yeah, the little trifold things.
Last I heard, last year, they were supposed to be getting new ones at headquarters, but I don't know whatever happened with that. I've still
Yeah.
never seen any new ones, so.
I know they were
I
struggling.
asked
with-
Trisha to get some for me if she goes to headquarters, but I don't think they ever came in.
I know I requested a bunch of them. I had like
Mhm.
1,000 of them and I handed them out over the years and I think mine are pretty well all used up. And I also used to have the little membership pins that I
Mhm.
would hand out. So if I was at a meeting and somebody would swear in a new member, obviously as region director, you know, the highest ranking member, you know, at the meeting, I would be the one to swear them in and then I could present them a membership pin right away as well. Which, you know, to some people is, oh, that's kind of neat. You know, you get something, it's everybody likes swag.
Yeah. I think I actually got a few of those pins when you handed some things down, actually. I know you used to be able to order them on the JCI USA website. I don't know if you still can, but I know at one point you could like order them by the dozen. And they weren't really expensive or anything. It wasn't like crazy.
They have updated and changed them.
I figured that.
Yeah, so they're all JCI, but also I believe that they're going to start moving away from the paper trifold applications.
Mhm.
Whenever I asked about like how to enter those during the glue up training, I was kind of told you don't. That you need to tell them to go on to the site and do it. So
I think the goal is to get everybody to like download the app is what I think
Yeah.
the goal is.
yeah, so that's kind of what I was getting, but that just kind of, I feel like that's just gone to the wayside a little bit. I know Champaign still has ones that we've created and we're still going to use them, but because they've been successful, but I don't know if Nationals is still going to have them.
Well, we do have the Office Depot discount that comes with our membership as well. So I guess if we just want to make our own, we can do that.
Exactly.
State.
Yeah, I know that is going to be one of the struggles with Glue Up is try to get to people. From what I understand, you have to download the app and then you have to completely fill out all the information, you know, create a login right there. And I don't know how well that's going to go over. I know when I have to do it on my phone, it's usually kind of obnoxious and I do it because I have to, not because I want to. One thought I had on that is if we could get new members to sign up, especially since Illinois still does kind of do their own database, if we could sign them up, and it would be a good thing to do at new member orientations. Be like, hey, while we've got you all here, we can run this, you know, at one time. That way we can be in a location where we're focused on it. We can have Wi-Fi so everybody can be on their phone and kind of run through it, you know, one time with everybody. And I feel like that could be something that's useful at a new member orientation if we could implement something there. Would be an appropriate spot for it. I think that would be maybe more appropriate than trying to get every member to do it individually wherever you happen to recruit them. Because
I would agree with that.
because like, you know, when we're recruiting at Schweitzer Fest, you know, it's kind of a, you know, high energy, you know, a lot of commotion going on, yeah, because we do the spin the wheel thing and membership. And is that really the time where you want to spend 5 more minutes with somebody trying to direct them, you know, through their phone to download an app? And you know, I guess I just feel it personally, I think a new member orientation is a more appropriate place to do something like that. I realize what they're trying to do with it. I understand the direction they're going to go. I'm not going to say it's a bad direction. I just don't know if they're doing they're going about it the most efficient way possible. As I'm trying to say, put this in a positive, you know, light. So something that probably needs to be done is just they're working on the implementation yet to make it more user friendly. Because that is something that, you know, if you burden a new member right off the bat with something like that, it is going to kind of be a deterrent. I guess that's one other kind of point I would like to make. You know, we focus a lot here on getting new members to join. That's a strong focus of the JCs in general. basically, if you're of age and you're willing to hand us over your $40 or whatever the, dues are, you can be a member. Sometimes what I think we don't focus on enough is retention. Why should we go out and try to find new members constantly and start, not that, new members are a fantastic thing. We definitely need new members, but at the same time, keep our current members. Those are the ones that are going to step up into, chapter presidents and region board positions. Rookie members are not going to do that. We need to keep, especially our good current members. If we can find a way to retain them, that's also very valuable. New members are valuable, but current members are just as valuable. And sometimes I think we don't focus enough on retention, that we put more focus towards recruitment. And because everybody likes to see the plus ones for, growth, and, you don't have to get as many plus ones if you don't have as many drops. So.
Well, and I think it really helps you be able to kind of develop your training further too, because you're not just repeating the same new member stuff all the time.
Yeah, definitely. It's just one thing I think the organization in general could probably focus a little bit more on is retention. And, that has been brought up before, what can we do for retention numbers, but it's not always stressed. And part of that too, I think they call it, like surveying, when you survey things, it's a survivor's bias. We ask people that are, currently JCs, why do you JC? And, we get all the answers. Oh, I enjoy helping the community. Oh, I do it because of the camaraderie. Oh, I, moved and I wanted to get involved with something. It's hard to ask people, why are you no longer a JC? So we know all the reasons that people stay, but we don't always know the reasons why people leave. And I said, it's a survivor bias. You look at the positives and you don't, see so much the reasoning why somebody dropped off. And I think maybe that one of the things we could possibly do is like exit surveys. Why did you choose not to rejoin? But a lot of times that's not followed up in. Obviously, it's hard to get people that dropped to come out and, fill out these surveys of why are you no longer a JC. But if we could reach out to them when you ask them, are you going to renew? And they're like, no. And they're like, would you mind telling me why you chose not to renew? Is it something, what happened that, you no longer want to be a JC? And maybe that's something we could correct. Or, sometimes you can't, but obviously if they aged out, there's nothing you can do about it. Or sometimes, things happen, people move, people get married, have kids, don't have time. But that's another discussion there with the retention thing that, we've had, but not so much as a region director, district director training. All right, we've been here for a little over right at an hour now. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. And I appreciate the participation. We've had some excellent questions here. I know this is a small group with only being 3 regions. There's only 3 region directors and I believe 3 district directors. So percentage wise, we did pretty good here, getting people on, and hopefully some of you people that are watching this, are watching it recorded. So you can learn a little bit too and kind of get some of the interaction out of it. So that's, unless somebody's got anything else, I think that's about it.
Thanks, Reggie. You did a great job.
Well,
Thanks,
thank you.
Reggie.
Appreciate everybody being here. And like I said, if you got any feedback, let me know, positive or negative. And, I'd appreciate it. And like I said, be nice to me on my slideshow. It was my first attempt. And if anybody would like to stay on for a little while after the recording and discuss anything off record, because I know sometimes it can be uncomfortable bringing up subjects when you know that it's being recorded, you're more than welcome to, and I can stay on for as long as need be if there's anything else you'd like to discuss, such as your true feelings toward Glue Up. So, yeah, I think with that, if Zach, thanks for everything you've done today. You did an excellent job of running the meeting in the background. Thanks for recording this and posting it up later. And you can probably stop the recording now if you want to.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.